Hi, welcome to the Masters of Engineering Leadership Urban Systems presentation. Today we're here to discuss everything that is urban systems, and we are fortunate to be joined by current student Colin Jeffrey and adjunct professor Dana Vanier. I will get them to share their experience and their knowledge about the course. But first I would like to welcome all our visitors from around the world. We know we have students everywhere from Australia, China, India, the US, and also domestically here in Canada. This is a live session. We are answering your questions as they come in. So if you do have a question, don't be shy, don't hesitate. Please write it in the comments section below and we will try to answer it as soon as possible. If for some reason we're unable to answer your question, we will be answering them post the end of the event. So make sure you do check back in. But I'd like to start with you, Professor Dana. Can you give us a brief overview of the course?
Well, the program in urban systems is looking at how does the student learn about the interface of finance, human relations, and engineering technology with respect to urban systems. And if you look at the world generally, if you've seen in some of the promotional literature for the program that Canada has approximately $7 trillion worth of infrastructure assets, and all of these assets must be maintained. And these are assets that do relate to urban systems. And we're finding that research studies have shown that up to 70 and 80% of society lives in an urban setting. And the numbers in Canada are even higher than that. So we're very much of an urban society. And so the pillar in urban systems is looking at how to teach and train the students to deal with this urban environment, which is becoming more and more prevalent in our society.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you very much for that overview. And Colin, are you able to share a little bit about how you came into the course in the first place? Where did you come from? How did you find the course?
Yeah, so my background's in mechanical engineering and management. I'm from Ontario originally, but I've always had kind of an interest in coming out west and enjoying the mountains. So actually I heard about the program through a friend and just thought the opportunity to come out, learn more about urban systems. My background was a lot of construction and manufacturing. But I had the opportunity to work with a municipality on a committee, and it really got my interest in urban systems and how cities can really make a difference in the world. And so we've really found that I've had the opportunity to explore that in this program and really enjoying it so far.
Fantastic. And how have you found the move across to Vancouver? Has it been everything you imagined it would be?
And even more rain. But no, it's really nice out here. Like I said, getting into the mountains. The community UBC is really welcoming. A lot of clubs on campus and just the different students in the program. Everyone's coming from somewhere in the world, and so the opportunity to learn from the different cultures and different people in the program is almost as great as the opportunity to learn from the professors.
Fantastic. And I understand, well, actually, you mentioned that you had experience in the workforce for coming into the program. You were able to expand on what you were doing?
Yeah, so the program, because a lot of people might know, requires at least 3 years of experience to get into the programs. So that opportunity for me was, I was working in construction, building energy projects, renewable energy, wind and solar.
Yep.
And then the opportunity to further that, I was in quality control, doing manufacturing of consumer goods. So it's kind of a wide range of experience, but I think what it all really focused on was sustainability, and I think cities can really lead the way in sustainability. So I think that's where it kind of ties into this program.
Fantastic. And Professor Dana, you've also come from a different background as well. Are you able to share a little bit about your background? Because I understand you teach 2 of the courses in the program as well.
Yes. My background is with the National Research Council of Canada, where I spent almost 30 years doing research in infrastructure asset management primarily. So I've been looking at the long life of of built infrastructure for a long time now. Graduate of a number of Canadian universities, and currently teaching in 2 courses. One course on case studies in construction methods, which is a course selected by some of the MEL students, and then my Urban Systems 550 course on infrastructure asset management, where we teach the students about how cities, municipalities, public infrastructure, crown corporations, a lot of public and private organizations, how they can manage their long-lived assets. So these are assets that will last longer than 2 or 3 years. So we're not talking books, computers, and desks. We're talking about sewers, roads, bridges. They're really important assets that really define our culture in Canada. Without this infrastructure, we can't survive. Without water, without sewage removal, without transportation, without bridges, specifically in British Columbia, where we have really challenging landscape, we need good technology people dealing with our infrastructure. So we're teaching the students about how they should manage and operate infrastructure.
Yeah, and I imagine that being able to study here in British Columbia and being presented with all those challenges just locally would be a huge asset to the students.
Oh, definitely. Even if you look at the University of British Columbia, I roughly calculated that at any one point in time, we might have $500 million worth of construction going on at any one period in time. So these are buildings like Brock Commons, which is upwards of 50 or 70 million, if my memory serves me well. Orchard Complex, $200 million just completed. So we're doing a lot of construction at the university and in British Columbia as well.
Yeah. Just to expand on that, really with Dana's courses and other courses, being in Metro Vancouver really helps the course, because with Dana's class, we're working actually with municipalities to develop asset management plans. In another course, we worked with the city of New West to really look at their intelligent cities. So really the community around us is really embracing the program and letting us work with them.
Wow.
And Vancouver, Metro Vancouver is in a unique position in that we have 23 different municipalities that form Metro Vancouver. Everything from the city of Vancouver at roughly 700,000 people to Richmond, Coquitlam, Burnaby, and smaller municipalities like Municipality of Bowen Island and Lions Bay. So we have a lot of municipalities that form Metro Vancouver. So it really gives the students a lot of opportunities to deal with municipalities at various levels, whether they be 10,000 people or 700,000 people.
Fantastic. And I understand, Colin, that as part of a number of your different subjects, you are actually taking on projects. And are each of those projects being guided by industry, or are you able to select them yourself?
Yeah, so it's definitely a good mix of that, where personally you can really guide it the way you want it to go. So I'm more interested in the municipality side of it. So I could focus on different municipalities around Canada, where if you were really interested in energy side of municipalities, you could focus your projects on utilities or BC Hydro. There's really a lot of, you can really individualize the program to yourself.
Yeah, fantastic. And we know that our students are getting a varied experience, because the course is not just a purely technical based course. It's a 60% technical and 40% leadership courses. How are you finding the leadership aspect of it?
Really good. We had a very good professor with a lot of industry experience for our first leadership course on project management. And she really guided us through the process of talking through stakeholders, getting stakeholders engaged, project planning. So kind of skills that you don't necessarily get through a pure engineering course, but you're expected to know because you do a lot of projects in it. And so that opportunity to get like the formal training on that really helps out. And I think through the summer, we're going to have a couple more of those. And another bonus of those courses is the opportunity to engage with the other pillars. So a lot of our classes are the pure urban systems group, but in the platform classes, you're really talking with the whole program, and you get different inputs, different ideas, and you get to meet a lot of new people, which is always nice.
Yeah, fantastic. So just to make sure I have the full understanding of that, so when you're doing your leadership courses, it's not just with the urban systems students, it's with students from all the MEL programs and even some of the and also the MBA students. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. And so it's through the Sauder School of Business, which really is a great collaboration. We had an event the other day that the Sauder School put on, and they really bring in some interesting speakers, and having both the engineering and the business side of it, you get a lot of interesting views and a lot of good benefits, I think.
And is that something that you were looking for when you were looking for a course initially? Were you looking for that mix of technical and leadership? Was it the leadership part that really appealed to you?
Yeah, I think for me it was what I was kind of interested in. The engineering side is something I got a lot in my undergrad, but working in industry, I think I noticed that seems to be an area that can really be improved on, is your soft skills, being able to set up a meeting, working with engaging stakeholders, just all the different parts that go into a successful project. It's not just the technical part of it, so I think that's something I'm really getting out of it.
Yeah, and as a professor in one of the more technical courses, have you noticed a change in the students as they've progressed through both the leadership and the technical courses?
We see the students only for a 1-year period of time, and so sometimes it's very difficult to judge their change in maturity after a period of only 2 or 3 months. But we definitely see that in my course, where I'm teaching more the technical side of urban systems, that they do understand the problems that we have with urban systems. So there is a maturity on the side of their technology knowledge.
Yeah, fantastic. One of the common questions that we do get asked is, what does a student do on a day-to-day basis? We know that it's a 1-year intensive course, but what does that mean for you every day?
Yeah, so definitely it's kind of you're learning every day, because you say it's a 1-year program, so you don't want to kind of capture every opportunity there is, which does mean your day fills up fairly quick. I think usually a day would start off, this semester really had all morning classes. So as a morning person, I enjoyed that opportunity to kind of get up, get to class, do a little bit of learning. Then in the afternoons, you're free. You can, we have this a studio where everyone can kind of congregate, work on group projects, work on assignments. But then even outside of that, you're in BC, so you really have to enjoy it. UBC offers a lot of programs, whether you're interested in sustainability, if you're interested in sports, getting out, enjoying yourself, not just doing the work part of it. And then in the evenings, there's a lot of great seminars or presentations that you can attend. The program really does a great job of bringing in great speakers to kind of teach us presentation skills, just different soft skills that are important.
And as I understand it, they're in addition to your normal coursework, is it? So they're extracurricular activities that you're taking advantage of.
Yes, and I think another question that might come up is do you have time for work? And I think that's where the difference is. So your core work takes up a certain amount of time, but it's the activities outside of the classroom that are really I'm finding is the greatest benefit of the program. To take these seminars, UBC has a lot of connections. Dana got us involved with CNAM, which puts on a lot of webinars or conferences, and taking advantage of these extracurricular activities is really a benefit of the program, and they provide them to you. And,
yeah. So is that making it difficult for you to work outside of your course in either a part-time capacity or even in a casual capacity?
So personally, I think I wouldn't look at part-time work, just the opportunity to focus on the program. It's 1 year, you kind of commit to it. But finding that work-life balance is important. So I think I take a lot of time. The mountains right there to go skiing, play soccer, get to the pool, just different activities around the school to balance work and rec.
Fantastic. And we do have our first question coming through. On the website, it says that the program is designed to fulfill the demanding need of the industry. Could we please elaborate? And I'll hand over to you, Professor Dana, just to expand on that.
Be a good point to mention the organization that Colin mentioned on the CNAM, or the Canadian Network of Asset Managers. And we introduced the students to this industry body, and they, as students, can become members of CNAM, and then they can attend the workshops, they can attend the webinars, they can attend on-site presentations that might be given, and then they're also introduced to a community of practice in asset management, so in urban systems. So these are leading best practices across Canada, people who are interested in moving the field forward. So in the whole area of asset management and urban systems, they're introduced to industry through an organization such as CNAM or the Canadian Society for Civil Engineering or any of the other societies. So we introduce them to these portions of industry so that when they graduate, they can go out and look for jobs in that area. And in fact, one of our students is actually working closely in affiliation with CNAM currently.
Oh, there you go.
One of our urban systems graduates.
Wonderful. And we know that our graduates are being highly sought after. Are you able to share a few more examples of where some of our graduates have gone after they've completed their program?
I would only know those students who have sought and obtained employment in my area of expertise, which is asset management. And some of them are working for large public infrastructure managers. Some of them are working for consultants in the area of asset management. And let me think, I know a number have applied for jobs with municipalities. So there are big opportunities. When you look at the size and breadth of Canada and the need for expertise in this area of urban systems, we're one of the few programs in Canada, and I can honestly say in the world, that actually teach the students about urban systems. This is one of the few programs in the world. And I've done a number of studies looking at who's doing what at Canadian universities. And there's only a handful of Canadian universities looking at urban systems at a very, very macro level, much like UBC is.
Fantastic. And that must be encouraging for you to hear, Colin, that our students are going back into those municipalities. And is that an area yourself that you're looking to go back into when you complete?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, Dana brings in a couple of students to present, and you kind of see what career opportunities there are out there. And I think, municipalities is kind of the direction I'm going, into the private sector, public sector. They kind of give you an idea of what's available throughout the program, and you can kind of direct your studies towards that. So looking forward to it.
Fantastic. And we've spoken how we are getting students from a variety of different backgrounds. Are you able to give us an insight into what does a urban system student look like?
There is no typical urban system student. They come in with a variety of expertise. So just, Colin, you can give your background quickly.
Yeah, so I'm a mechanical engineer.
So we have architects, we have landscape architects, we have students from the alumni from South Africa, from India, from China. We have people who come in with very, very hardcore civil engineering backgrounds, sometimes with 20 years of experience in civil engineering, and they're in the program to learn more about urban systems in general. They maybe have focused on one area in water treatment or in water distribution or in sewage collection, but they want to have an overall view of urban systems, and they're in the program. So from all continents and mostly in all backgrounds, including numbers of students who have multiple degrees already in finance, commerce, in landscape architecture, in all forms of civil engineering, electronics, computer sciences. So we have a wide gamut of students.
It's very diverse. Are there any common core concepts that students should bring with them when they apply for the course?
Colin?
Yeah, I think just like I mentioned, you're really learning from everyone in the course as well as from the professors. So what I found is the benefit of having such a diverse class is you kind of learn different packets from different people. So the architects really bring that design portion to the course. We have a student in our class who's a teacher or was a teacher previously, and he really brings out the soft skills of it, how to present. And so, yeah, I think you really learn from everyone in the course.
Yeah, fantastic. And we do have our next question coming through. What level of mathematics and physics is required for this program? I might hand over to you.
Yeah, my mechanical background would be good for those kind of things, but I think the course so far hasn't really focused on the technical math and science portion of it. It's really looking at bringing everything together and looking at policy, management. You have to know kind of the technical side of it to understand, is a sidewalk going to degrade over time? Why is it going to degrade? But we're looking more on a high level rather than getting into the technical thermodynamics or physics of it.
And I would tend to agree as well. We try and keep the math and physics down to a level where the typical student can accommodate it, because we do have students coming in with geography degrees or with architecture degrees, so we have to respect their foundation, and we have to build upon that and not confuse them with unnecessary math and physics.
Yeah.
So it's more on the, as we mentioned earlier, on the soft side of 1/3 on the soft side of engineering, 1/3 on finance, and 1/3 on engineering.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's a very eloquent summary. One of the common questions that we do get asked is just with regards to the application and the letter of intent. Are you able to share with us the kind of information that you put in your letter of intent when applying to the course?
Yeah, I think I probably wasn't the typical student applying. I was fairly late in the program. I applied in October. But what I was really looking to bring across is that I have a diverse background working in a couple of different industries, but I didn't have anything specific to urban systems. So what I wanted to get across is that it's something I'm passionate about, it's something I want to learn more about, but also that while I don't have specific experience in there, a lot of the concepts overlap. So sustainability, energy systems are needed in urban systems, as well as looking at some of the soft skills, wanting to show that I've been in a management position and worked in that kind of experience. So kind of, I mean, be honest and kind of cover what you've done.
Yep, fantastic. I would like to recommend to all those students who are looking at applying in October, please don't wait till October. The application processes have changed. If you apply in October, you may miss out. So our next application date actually closes on June the 1st. So make sure you get your application in as soon as possible. We are here to help you with your letter of intent, your references. Please come and ask us questions. We're here to support you in your application. We also have alternate application dates on August the 1st and then again October the 1st. But don't leave it too late. Get in your application as soon as possible. You will hear a turnaround from your application from those close dates within about a month. So you get your answers back fairly quickly. We do have our next question coming through. Should students live on campus, and can you live on campus? Are you actually living on campus at the moment?
I'm fortunate I am living on campus, and that was definitely one of the things I was worried about when I applied to the program late is, will I be able to find a place to live? You hear of Vancouver having a very very high occupancy rate, so I was able to get a house on campus, and it's definitely been very beneficial. A lot of the activities that go on campus. But I think anywhere around, you have Kitsilano, Kerrsdale, areas around the school that really immerse you in the community. The bus system here and the transit system is really top notch. So if you don't get in on campus, it's not the end of the world, but it's definitely something I found beneficial.
Yeah.
And I could interject here saying that we have two wonderful urban villages right in the campus of University of British Columbia, which did not exist 10 or 15 years ago. And so you're able to go to a number of coffee stores within 100 meters, or a number of restaurants, wonderful sushi bars all over the place on the campus itself. And then you can go to Westbrook Village, and there are full shopping, grocery stores, banks, restaurants, etc., all within 200 or 300 meters from the heart of the university. So the campus is a small urban village itself.
It definitely is. I can say for certain that the coffee is pretty good too. It must be nice for you to be able to roll out of bed and 5 minutes later be at class.
Yes, for sure.
On his bicycle.
Yeah.
When you applied to live on campus, was that as part of your application for the course, or did you have to complete that separately?
Yeah, so like Dana mentioned, you can live, there are private residents on, or houses on campus, and so that's actually where I'm living.
Oh, okay.
But the resident application is separate from your application to the program. And I just from my experience in it, it fills up fairly quickly, so it's important to apply early to it.
You have nailed that. Exactly right. For students wanting to live on campus, it is quite competitive. Please don't wait till the last minute if you want to live on campus to put in your application. Put it in as soon as possible. We have a question coming through from Felix. Does the course address integration measures that improve the psychological and emotional well-being using urban systems? And I might pass over to Professor Dana.
If I could see the question again. Some complex English going on here.
So just to repeat it for our audience as well, does the course address the integration measures that improve the psychological and emotional well-being using urban systems?
I can't speak for the other courses, but on my infrastructure asset management course, we try to delve into that area of social and economic side of decision making.
Okay.
But we don't go as far as looking at the well-being. But in some of the other courses, they do look at the interface of the social side of urban systems, primarily on the transportation side, etc. Maybe Colin, who has a number of courses under his belt.
Yeah, Stephanie Chang teaches a course specifically on social impacts of assets, and that course I really enjoyed because it really looks at what's happening right now. We did projects on Google's Quayside development in Toronto, impacts of hurricanes in the Caribbean, and the projects were really up to date and really touching on what's happening right now. But further to that, actually, we just got introduced to the new lady that's coming into the program, and she specializes in these kinds of how you tie emotional intelligence into urban systems and really creating a community. And so I'm really looking forward to what she brings to the program and how we can learn from her.
So you're still in the first semester of your course, and already these quite complicated concepts are being introduced.
Yes, yeah.
And I imagine that's going to be quite interesting as you start bringing everything together and combining them towards the projects that you will complete towards the end of your degree.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that part of it. And I think, I think even just we had 5 courses this semester, and you start to see kind of how they overlap, how asset management ties into the social aspects of it. We had a course on looking at planning and projections, and so you can see how asset management is important to project into the future, how your city is going to grow, and so very intertwined courses.
Yeah, wonderful. And we do have our next question coming through. Can we relate this program to the construction management at some level? You actually have the background in construction management. Why don't you answer that for us?
Yeah, and for sure you can. That's Dana's second course was an elective that I decided to take, and it focuses on construction management. And I think one of the best parts of that course is that we could bring in every week a different speaker from industry who manages a different asset. We had managing a construction site on home building, on roads, on hydroelectric dams. So really construction management really comes into play, and management in general really is the course looking at it.
Yeah, and did you want to expand on that?
Well, we had a unique opportunity this term in that my construction management course was in the same term as my course in urban systems on infrastructure asset management. So I have to say the pleasure of having 5 of my urban systems students in the other course where they learned about construction methods, and they learned, as Colin mentioned, about professionals in industry. We had 11 guest speakers come in and talk about case studies in construction methods. And in that course, which is an elective for the MEL students as well, they do a large technical report, which is evaluating the performance of a specific construction activity at a real construction site. And so we had 16 teams of students go out and investigate projects. All of them were bigger than probably $30 million, and they were looking at the performance of one aspect of construction management. So there's an opportunity for the students to enroll in that course. Of course, seats being available.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me onto one of our next questions. How big is the current cohort size?
It's a good size. I'm not too sure what would be the optimal size, but it's somewhere between 12 and 20 students.
Yeah.
So they're very, very small class sizes. So you get to know each student really quite well. You get to know what their challenges are in the program. You get to see their participation as an individual in a project or as a team member in a larger project. So we get to know the students really quite well. And it's a very amicable environment, a little bit different than the bigger class sizes that you hear of in some undergraduate courses in first year. These are really quite manageable class sizes, and you get to know the students really quite well.
And how have you, Colin, found the change from, I imagine your undergraduate would have been quite a large size to a much smaller class group?
Yeah, I did have a unique experience where the university I went to was, for my undergrad, was very small. So it was also a small class, which I definitely enjoy. It's you get to know the other classmates that you have. And like I said, you really learn from them. Each project, you're kind of working with a different group. You kind of learn each other's strengths and really grow from that. And, I think like Dana said, there's 14 of us this semester, and it's been really good.
Wonderful. And coming back through to the enrollment stage, we know that one of the requirements is to provide references. Can you give us an idea of who you utilize to be your reference to get into the course?
Yes. So for my application, I selected a previous professor who kind of works in this area and really inspired me to get into the program. So selected him, and then as well, because you have to have industry experience, I selected a project manager that I had worked with previously, and they obviously gave me a fairly good reference.
Obviously, because you're here now. I do believe we have our next question coming through. Is there an online part-time option? And it's one that I'm happy to field, but then I will get some input from both of you as well. So currently there is no online part-time option, and that is because of the way the course is structured, and it is an intensive 1-year full-time degree. And I think, as Colin has touched on, there's so many activities, not just within the course itself, but surrounding it, that add to the benefits. That moving it online, you would lose a lot of that. Is that correct to say?
For sure, yeah. And further to that, if you were online or here part-time, the other students wouldn't get to learn from your experience. So everyone would kind of miss out on that opportunity. So I think having everyone here for 1 year is really beneficial to the program.
And I think it's because it is a 1-year intensive program, you see that we're not saying that the all the classes are mandatory, but all the classes are mandatory. All of the students are there. And so you're dealing with one-on-one with all of the students at every lecture. And this is more difficult when there are 70 or 80 students in a class. You're not too sure who is there and who's not. But with this program here, you knew that individual was there for that lecture, and they were told about that. So it, on the side of teaching, it's very, very good. And you're dealing with a small workshop every single day with the students. So it's very good for the instructor, and I think it's better for the student to have it face-to-face and continuous. It is 1 year. It's a very, very intense program.
Well, and you've talked about how you are doing different projects and you're learning from different students. How are you finding the group work amongst, not just your cohort, but when you're working in those leadership programs across the entire MEL programs?
Yeah, and I think that's really a benefit of it, is that you get to work with different people on each project and kind of learn what they know and kind of apply it to that project, use their strengths. And I mean, that's the way it's going to be in the workforce. You're going to work with different people. And so the program really gets down to that. Like you mentioned, the leadership program, you're getting people with a completely different background. Even within that program, you have people from the MHLP program who are bringing a healthcare perspective to it, which for an urban systems, you kind of get that community sense or health benefits of it, and it's a unique experience that really comes into the projects.
Fantastic.
And I think it's good to add that, as a senior engineer once told me, it's not the technology, it's the communication skills. So the MEL program brings that in and allows the students to work as a team and produce one solid piece of work which they can be proud of. And in order to do that, it's not easy. In order to coordinate a 50 to 100 page report amongst 4 or 5 students so that it is what I call consultant quality, it is a lot of work and it is a lot of coordination, it's a lot of compromises, and it's a lot of collaboration and a lot of late nights at sometimes in order to get the product out. And this breeds the sort of professionals that we want there in the industry, people who will work hard and produce a quality result.
Fantastic. We do have our next question coming through. To what extent is urban data utilized to solve problems?
We don't have enough data. We do not. On the asset management side, we are very soft in this area. And this is one of our problems, and also one of our opportunities, is that as we become more automated, as we get more good data, then we can start solving problems. Like, we really want to know what is the condition of a road or a sewer or a survey of ridership. We want to have all of these data, and it is difficult to get and it is expensive. But we're now at this hybrid period in time where we are almost ignoring the old paper data, and we are moving into an electronic data era where we can look at these data and make really good decisions. And the only way that we can make good decisions that will prove the test of time is to have good data. So we need more people collecting good data in the field so that the decision makers, the senior project managers, the senior executives, the council and the mayor and the provinces representatives can make good decisions about their urban systems. And this will take collection of a lot of data and a lot of sophisticated tools to produce that data.
And as a student, how are you finding, and someone who's come from that background, how are you finding working in this transition period, as Professor Dana has spoken about? Is it difficult?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a challenge we're going through right now. Like I said, we really have projects that are current and apply or have applications to the real world. So we'll go out to a municipality and see what data do you have for us to, say, complete an asset management plan. And in some cases, they'll be like, oh yeah, we have all this data. And then they'll take us back to a file room. And then in other cases, you'll go to a different municipality and they're like, yeah, no problem. We'll send it over to you in an email. And I think one of the municipalities, New West, has a whole open data platform that's great, but you just don't see that everywhere. So it's kind of depending where you're working, it's a good mix.
Yeah. We have our next question coming through. Does this course refer to upcoming technologies such as infrastructure for autonomous cars?
I guess I can take that. We do. One of our courses actually that we just finished focused on really what's the next level of technology. So we had electrical vehicle charging project, we had a Wi-Fi project, and we had smart meters projects that really looked at what's the next technology. And I think within the courses, if you had a real interest in autonomous cars, you could focus your whole project on that. It's really flexible that way, and that you kind of gear it towards what you're interested in.
And did you come up with a solution for us?
we tried, and actually it was kind of cool that you present to the municipality, to the city, and say this is a solution that you could implement.
Oh, fantastic.
And I'll introduce Colin to a project that he'll be doing next term in the springtime as part of the summer and springtime program, and that's in Urban Systems 530, which is called Urban Systems Engineering, where they actually have to look at a city of the future and produce a long-term plan for that city, for that development in downtown Edmonton. So they'll be working on that in the summer, and they'll be presenting the results of that study actually to the engineer in charge of that project in Edmonton.
Wow. Yeah. So it's not only are you taking the study from your classroom and presenting it to industry, those recommendations are actually being taken seriously.
Yes.
Fantastic. And have we seen examples of when those ideas have actually transformed into action through any of your courses?
Nothing that I can relate to directly, but the fact that some of the students are getting jobs in this field is an indication that the course is successful.
Perfect. We are actually coming towards the end of our session, but I wanted to give you a really quick opportunity just to highlight what you feel is the biggest strength of the course. If you could tell our students out there the one reason they should be involved in the MEL program.
Wow. There's so many, but I think what I've got out of it the most is that you have people coming from all over the world, all different industries. It's not something you get really anywhere else that I've seen, and you have so many ideas collaborating in one area, and your professors are bringing 40 years of experience in this field. It's just, it's a great program.
I think the fact that we are generating the new generation of asset managers, of urban systems professionals, where they will have a solid foundation in what are the rudiments of managing complex structures such as municipalities, urban systems, and then pushing that into the whole area of all public infrastructure. And then once you start doing that on the public infrastructure side, then you're also affecting private industry as well and improving the quality of our Canadian infrastructure.
Wow, thank you so much. I'd like to thank our panel members for their input today. I know I learned a lot, and I'm sure our audience did as well. What I do want to highlight is we have had a lot of questions today. If we haven't managed to get to your question, we will be answering all the questions that we've had post the end of this event. Additionally, if you would like to stay in contact with us, we do have our newsletter. You can simply sign up to it online by clicking Contact Us and filling out the form below. Lastly, for those who are in the Vancouver area, we do have an opportunity for you to come and meet our course directors, meet current students at our open house on May the 10th. That will be at our Robson Square campus. So all the details are online, but that's May the 10th at Robson Square. Thank you so much for your time and for tuning in, and we look forward to reviewing your applications as they come in. Thanks very much.